Now these welds ain't gonna win no glamour show or nothing. Let me turn this welder off here. Now I just scabbed it back together. I was able to get that wheel to come back together, but I did have to straighten it up. You know, it bent. But I welded it to the inside where that roller connected to it. And then I welded it to that cap. You know, if that holds, it holds. It ain't gonna win no beauty pageant. But, you know. Right there, we even had to weld the outside edge. It's pretty rough now. Now, you know, for no more than I use this thing, honestly, you really just probably need to replace. They're $50 for one of them wheels. You know, I put a ram on it from Harbor Freight. It wasn't cheap. I don't expect it to be free, but it wasn't cheap. You know, I was going to try to maybe rebuild the ram that was on it, but it wasn't long enough. I still got it. You know, I can rebuild a ram. You just take that nut off there and whatever. A lot of times what happens in them old things, when they get overextended, you know, if it goes up to the bottom and then you push it that last little bit, it'll push the end of that seal out of the ram. So whatever, you know, sometimes you just take it to a hydraulic shop, drop it off and pick it up. It's like 10-20 bucks. Usually it ain't much. Yeah, I can't even buy the seals for that. So, but that's going to be good enough for the little motor puller. Now hopefully we can get down here and stick this thing back together. It took me a little while to get it apart and figure out a way to weld that without burning it completely. I mean, dude, it had a hole in it that big around. I had to go from side to side and stitch it together. I mean, seriously though, it was ½ inch all day. And I had to take a chisel and a hammer and straighten it all up and make it, you know, to where it's not too bad. The wheel does roll now, so that's one bonus. Now will that stay together? Hopefully just long enough to get this motor back in. Like I said, I just use it to pick the motor up and jack with the belts, or pick it up enough to where I can get in there and clean it out or whatever. And it's sitting outside, you know, in the weather. I keep the ram all the way down on it. And, you know, for $50 for a wheel, that's a bit much, considering I put a ram on it. So hopefully I talked to the old man. He might stop down there at the scrapyard. I see 4 or 5 of them in there all the time. They're bent or whatever, and most of them are brand new. I'm like, hey man, how much? He's like, I'll sell that whole thing to you for $20. They just want to sell the whole thing. So next time I'm down there, I might have to get me one off them old boys or something. But we're gonna let that cool down. Hopefully we can get down here and kind of piddle with the truck a little bit. Got to pull that motor out. Got to make a plate for the back of it. That'll be the next thing I do. I'll get it in there, slide it back, get that plate made, get it to where I can silicone it and bolt it on, and then we'll take and tap on that firewall with a sledgehammer a little bit, move it back. Once we get all that beat around or whatever, might pull it out 2 or 3 times. I got that hose that comes into the back of that. It's got to be able to come around there and be smooth. So I got to mark out on the firewall where it needs to kind of come around and have room to where it's not going to rub. So, and like I said, I want to get my hands in there, and I got to cut out the inner wheel wells on it so I can get in there and put the bolts in. It's got a Allen head on it, so it's gonna be pretty tight. Either way, it's got to come out. Like I said, a guy could, you know, whatever on that. I think that's thick enough on them motor plates. You don't want to be much further out because it's got an adapter inside there from the crank or the flex plate, you know, and it's got a little piece of metal out there to hopefully engage that torque converter good enough to turn it. Now, if you was to try to extend that, you know, it might be, I don't know. You had to get them bolts custom made to fit that plate, so definitely don't want to call somebody up and be like, yeah, make me a thicker one. It's good enough. I'll make it fit. Like I say, just an old truck. That's 2006, 26, make it what, 10 years old. It's an antique at that point. And, you know, like I say, we can get parts for those motors if need be. There's a lot of information about those. Look up a 2.8. You're on your own, bub. You know, they're junk. They're junk. They're junk. But you actually could put find you a Cobalt SS motor and all that. If you was to find you one crashed out or something, they got those superchargers on them. They're like 200 horsepower. You know, if you was to get that and get it beautiful or whatever, and then you could honestly find you a little, I think they made them from like 2004 to 2008. Just supercharged SS Cobalt Chevy car, front wheel drive. Same everything, you know. You get it to where you can get it to where it's beautiful. And then you can swap that down in there and have 200 horsepower instantly. I don't know with the exhaust and all that. Sometimes you got to tune it with the exhaust and stuff, but I don't know. But it's ready to go. You'd have to, you know, do the PCM if you want to delete downstream O2 sensors and evap solenoid. The evap solenoid, you know, I just get it tuned that way. It runs good at idle. You know, you can just order one offline. This is what I got. This is what I want. It's cheap. It's not super bad.